This is Steve-O DeFranco. I'm on. Vitas, I'm not sure if you're on yet or not.
Hi, Steve-O. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to let you know I'm calling in, so.
Okay. How have you been, Steve-O? Everyone good?
Yeah, everybody's well. Everybody's doing everything they got to do, I guess.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Is John going to be on tonight?
Yeah, so Ian's turn
Is tonight tonight or Thursday? He was asking.
tonight,
Yeah.
because then it's Thursday.
Okay.
This is what you were on. Doxycycline.
Oh, yeah.
15 days. I got 10 days.
There you go.
Got 2 more members, then we'll get started.
Sounds good.
Everybody staying healthy?
Yes. How about you?
No problems whatsoever.
Good.
It is.
We're all healthy.
Good night. Who are the people?
That's BS. That's a law department. That's there from the school. That's John.
Okay.
Vince is
Not in there yet?
No, his audio's on.
Oh,
Muted. We need money,
we do?
probably. Yes.
I can't go in unless we have them. Hmm?
Are they on right now? Okay. Who's called in from 216-314-4486?
That's Joe Priscilla.
Okay, Joe's here. Good. Steve Osorismus and Alexandra. I'll give her another minute in case. Otherwise, we'll get started without her. All right, well, it's just about 6:04, so I think we'll call the meeting to order, and Alexandra can join us if she's able to attend. All right, let's call this meeting to order. And let's have a roll call, please.
Mr. Syracuse?
Here.
Mr. DeFranco?
Here.
Mr. Priscilla?
Here.
Mr. Michelko?
Here.
Ms. Weber?
Here.
Mr. Morelli?
Here.
All right, this is a meeting of the Mayfield Village Board of Zoning Appeals, Tuesday, August 18th, 2020. This meeting has been duly noticed and will be held in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22, specific to recent amendments made in light of the current COVID-19 declared emergency, House Bill 197. Under the orders of Governor DeWine, the Board of Zoning Appeals will be meeting remotely via electronic means. The first item on our agenda tonight is consideration of our meeting minutes from our last meeting held on June 16th, 2020. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Is there a
Joe
Second.
Priscilla, seconds.
Okay, moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call?
Mr. Syracuse?
Yes.
Mr. DeFranco?
Yes.
Mr. Priscilla?
Yes.
Mr. Michelko?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The only application before us tonight is consideration of case number 2020-02. The applicant is Mayfield City School District, Center School, 6625 Wilson Mills Road, Old Schoolhouse Building, 784 Som Center Road. There are three area variances being requested. The first is a request for a variance from section 1165.05A to allow for a 57.87 foot front setback to allow for a 2.5-story office building at 784 Som Center Road. The second is a request from that same section to allow for a 12.43 foot to 12.49 foot south setback to allow for a 2.5-story office building. And the third is a request from section 1169.03 to allow for a 2.5-story building. The abutting property owners have been notified. Som Center Road addresses 769, 775, 779, 785, and 789, and Wilson Mills Road 6593, 6673, 6675, 6679, 6685, 6687, 6693, and 6681, as well as Muska Properties LLC, 4700 Rockside Road, number 603, Independence, Ohio, 44131. So So I'll let John explain a little bit about it, but I do just want to make sure people are aware that the first request for the 57.87 foot front setback, our code under that section 1165.058 permits a front yard setback of 70 feet. The side yard setback under that same code section is 30 feet. So we're looking at moving those setbacks to permit this building to remain as it is, a 2.5-story building here. The third under section 1169.03 says that buildings and land in a small office building district shall be used only for the purposes hereinafter set forth, and in buildings not more than 1 story in height. This existing building is already 2.5 stories, so that's the reason for these requests. So John, I think I covered that part, but do you want to say a little bit more before we have the applicant speak?
Yeah, well, basically what happened was the school board, and I don't want to speak for the school board, but they wanted to dispose of this building. So in order to do that, they had to break it off of the elementary school property, which was all one parcel. So they basically drew property lines around the building. And then we went to the electorate and had the property rezoned to what was the closest zoning that building and use would fit under, which was the 1-story office building. So once the lot lines were drawn, then we did a code review on it. And of course, then it's 2.5 stories and it's only supposed to be 1. And then you see the other setbacks. But basically, the public is in favor of keeping that historic building. So we're trying to work around the zoning requirements so that nothing, can happen to the building.
Absolutely, understood. Okay, thank you, John. Whoever's here on behalf of the applicant, could you please state your name for the record?
Sure. My name is Steve Nedlick, Assistant Superintendent, Mayfield City Schools.
Okay, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear, right hand, there you go. Do you swear that the testimony you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to God?
I do.
Okay. All right, Rob, what would you like to say about this?
Yeah, I think John covered it pretty thoroughly. About 2 years ago, when I arrived in the school district, we began having some significant conversations about taking that asset that no longer had any use for the school district, and try to take that asset to acquire other assets to do some other things that were of benefit to the organization. So that led us to where we are today after a few steps along the way.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions at this time? Any other comments? I don't know, Katie, Ms. Weber, if you have anything else you'd like to add from the law department's perspective?
I think that John really summed it up. This has been before the board before, in that in order to effectuate the sale of this property and repurposing it into a more productive use, that we really tried to see what the best rezoning would be, and putting it into this district was the most suited for it. Although there are these variances that are required, in moving forward with them, it was kind of the least of the variances that would be required. And the current building is currently 2.5 stories.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Vitas, this is Steve. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Yeah, 116901 talks about intent. Is the intent then ultimately to put in a medical, professional, banking, savings and loan, insurance, executive, blah blah blah, building in facility in this building, or is it limited to those in 116901? In other words, it is a tenant or the use of that limited to 1169.01.
I don't have a book in front of me, but 1169 refers you to 1165. But I think 1169 specifies the different uses that would be permitted in the 1-story office district.
Right. That's my question. So is it limited are we essentially saying that this building,
Well, the
so
rezoning,
we're looking for a two-story zoning variance here, right? But
well,
those are the
going
only
back-
things that can go in there?
Yeah, well, going back in time, the electorate voted to rezone that to a one-story district, so the use of the building would fall under that 1169. So it's already rezoned.
Yeah, so it's already been rezoned for this purpose, Steve-O. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be, I mean, now that it's already zoned this way, I'm not sure which section would apply, but that's not really relevant to tonight, whether or not we grant the variance to keep the building, the historic building as is. Does anyone know how old that schoolhouse is, how long it's been there?
I don't.
It's
I
been a
thought
while, but I don't know that.
it's supposedly, I think Tony found it was on the historical register. Is that true, Katie?
It is on the historical register, and I don't have it in front of me. I know that I have looked up how old that building, and I don't think that I have that specific paper in front of me.
Don't
But
either.
Say that it, it's kind of close to the turn of the century in its age, but I can confirm that. But in terms of the uses, what you're describing, those listed uses in 1169.01, I believe what this is going to be used for does fall under that, as a professional office.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, my question's relative to that, Vetus and all. I just want to make sure that they're not coming back for other variances along the way. So ideally, through the electorate, it would have been identified that variances would have been needed here, right? And it could have been potentially included in the, the electorate's, voting this particular piece of property in to be accepted as a two-story building. So my questions are relative to them not coming back for other variances.
Well, this isn't for a use variance for the use of the property. These are area variances for the
Yes,
setback.
I
And once these are, one of these-
Need 3 minutes.
if these are granted, at that point in time, then that runs with the land. So any future use that comes in there, I mean, it would have to comply. If someone puts something in like a restaurant as part of this, then John Morelli, our building commissioner, would have to tell them they're not in compliance. They have to seek a conditional use permit or
That's correct. That's correct.
so that really has no bearing on what we're voting on tonight, but I do see what you're asking, Steve, as far as the future use of this. But for now, that's not something for us to consider. It's already been approved by the electorate, and that's why we're here today, just to, in order to get the lot split and consolidation finalized, they need this use variance. I mean, these area variances granted. Otherwise, they'd have to move the building or they'd have to tear it down and move it somewhere else, I believe.
We can't expand the frontage because when the SOM got widened, the frontage got eaten up. So there's no way to get the frontage.
And to remind the members that when we determine whether or not to grant an area variance, we use a practical difficulty standard. And really the factors we should be looking at whether or not to grant this are whether or not the conditions upon which an application for a variance is based are particular to the subject property with respect to the physical size, shape, or other characteristics of the premises or adjoining premises, differentiating if they're in the same district, or if the variance would result in an improvement of the property that is more appropriate and more beneficial to the community than would be the case without granting of the variance. And definitely it being 2.5 stories high, but a historic building being the old schoolhouse, I feel that both these conditions are met for these variance requests. Anyone else have any questions or comments before we move to vote on this?
One question, as this will go on to the tax base then, since it'll become a private building and no longer a school system, correct?
Yes, it's it'll be transferred to a new owner, to a private owner.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any other questions or comments at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the setbacks. We can take them either all together or individually, however you.
So moved. I move we take them together.
Okay. So is that
Second,
a motion to approve all three? Is that a motion to approve
A
all
motion
three?
to approve all three.
Okay. All right. And there was a second I heard?
second,
Second? Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Syracuse?
Yes.
Mr. DeFranco?
Yes.
Mr. Priscilla?
Yes.
Jean Blank?
Yes.
Mr. Michelko?
Yes.
Okay. The motion carries. At this time, we have no further business before us, so unless there are any other comments or questions or something anyone else wants to discuss, at this time I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Syracuse?
Yes.
Mr. DeFranco?
Yes.
Mr. Priscilla?
Yes.
Jean Blank?
Yes.
Mr. Michelko?
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and like I always say, hopefully we'll be able to see each other again here in person soon.
All right. Stay
Thanks.
safe.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.